The Christ and the Antichrist, chapter 15, titled The Serpent Lived in the KAABA. Copyright from the book Muhammad, His Life from Earlier Sources by Martin Lings, SUHAIL Academy, Lahore, Pakistan. Verse 1. Many years after this episode with the Antichrist and the Roman Catholic agents, this was when he was 35 years old, his tribesmen, the Quraysh, rebuilt the place of evil spirits, brackets, the KAABA. As it then stood, the walls were just above the height of a man, and there was no roof, which meant that even when the door was locked, access was easy. And recently, there had been a theft of some of his treasure, which was stored in a vault that had been dug inside the building for the purpose, says Martin Lings in his great work on the history of Muhammad based on the earlier sources. Mr. Lings went on to comment, they already had all the wood that was needed for the roof. The ship of a Greek merchant had been driven ashore and wrecked beyond repair at Jeddah. So they had taken its timbers to serve as rafters, and there happened to be in Mecca at that time a Copt who was skilled carpenter. But such was their awe of the KAABA that they hesitated to lay hands on it. Their plan was to demolish its walls, which were built of loose stones, and to rebuild it altogether. But they were afraid of incurring the guilt of scarlet. And their hesitation was greatly increased by the appearance of a large snake, bracket serpent, which had taken to coming every day out of the vault to sun itself against the wall of the KAABA, says Mr. Lings. The two reasons were stated above. Two reasons were stated above by Mr. Lings as to why the Antichrist and his tribe, the Quraysh, were afraid to rebuild the place of evil spirits. The first reason was their guilt of incurring scarlet, and the other was the fact that there was a large snake that always came out of the vault where the gifts which were brought to the KAABA were stored. Remember earlier, Martin Lings had revealed to us that there had been a theft of some of its treasure, which was stored in a vault that had been dug inside the building for the purpose. If that large snake always came out of the vault where the treasures of the KAABA were stored, this lets us know that it must have lived there. This also informs us that the serpent must have been one of the recipients of the gifts and the many treasures which were brought each day to the idols at the KAABA. This means that the snake or the serpent was one of the many false spirits and idols that were worshipped at the KAABA. Snakes or serpents in the word of God is always associated with Satan. With this insight, we're able to know that this serpent which lived at the KAABA was none other than the spirit that deceived mankind in the Garden of Eden. Do not forget that it was the snake that deceived Eve in the Garden of Eden. And do not also forget that the first time we heard about Satan, that he was in the form of the snake in the book of Genesis. Even so, the word of life itself tells us in Revelation 12:9 that Satan was that old serpent in the Garden of Eden. The great dragon was cast out, that old serpent called the devil and Satan, which deceived the whole world. He was cast out into the earth, and his angels were cast out with him. Thus, that large snake that lived in the KAABA, the place of evil spirits, at the vault where the gifts and treasures were stored, was none other than that great dragon called the devil and Satan. Let the beloved reader also bear in mind that the KAABA was a place where human sacrifices were made to various kinds of evil spirits. So according to Martin Lings, the author of Muhammad, his life based on the earlier sources, the Quraysh, Muhammad's tribesmen, and Muhammad were afraid to rebuild the KAABA because of the serpent that always came out of the vault where the gifts were stored in the KAABA to sunbathe itself against the KAABA walls. This is another confirmation that the KAABA is the temple of evil spirits. Martin Lings went on to say, if anyone, those rebuilding the KAABA, approached the KAABA, it, bracket, the serpent, would rear its head and hiss with gaping jaws, and they were terrified of it. But one day, while it was sunning itself, Allah, bracket, Satan, sent against it an eagle which seized it and flew away with it, says Martin Lings. Amen. This is the Christ and the Antichrist, chapter 15.